Hi, everybody. I'm Dan Cooper. Welcome to the Sharpen Podcast, brought to you by Acumen, an exclusive community of CEOs and business owners to help you grow your top line, optimize your bottom line, and enrich the storyline. On this episode, we're going to talk about what it's like growing up or professionalizing the family business as a second generation, and then what it's like to sell it. Today, my guest is Russ Meinhardt, as a former CEO of the family-owned Old World Spices, where he exited after selling to private equity, and now a growth catalyst, which is our fancy word for team leader and facilitator of a new CEO team in Kansas City. Russ, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, so I kind of stole your thunder of what you do now, but tell us again, but in your words, what are you doing now and where are you headed?
Yeah. So exited the family business, sold it to private equity. Spent about 3 years in private equity doing some M&A work and leading the business for a little while, and then exited that, doing some fractional CEO work right now for a business here in town, and going to be a growth catalyst and building the team out and doing the work that I want to do versus the work that I had to do before.
We're glad that you want to do this. It's good to have you here. Good to have you here. All right, so let's go in the way back machine
Yeah.
and talk about how you worked your way up in the family business. Family business is always interesting because it's complicated, and you're an in-law, so you don't even have the right last name. So where did you start, and then how'd you make it to the top?
I literally started by driving a forklift in a warehouse and loading and unloading trucks during the summer for my father-in-law. And he was running the business previous to that out of his basement. So it kind of helped make that transition and started just digging in, wearing lots of hats. Came back for a couple other summers and did some computer work and making sure that bills were getting paid and money was coming in and inventory was being done. So really literally started at the bottom. And after that, joined the business. I did a couple things, after I finished college, and then father-in-law was like, "Okay, I think you're ready. Come on in." And so we just, at that point, it was my father-in-law, my two sister-in-laws, and me, and
Hmm.
literally the startup of a new business. And we, got lucky along the way. We were able to grow, and over 20 years, we moved and grew out of 5 different facilities. So I got really good at moving and growing, and so we eventually have grew that business to the point where father-in-law was like, "Hey, I think I'm ready to be done." And the problem was the business wasn't ready for him to be done. And so we looked at what we were doing at that point, and I don't know how it happened. I got tapped on the shoulder and like, "Hey, Russ, we want you to run the business, um, and but you got to do some things. You got to do the hard stuff that we haven't tackled at this point." So professionalized the management team, brought in a CFO, brought in a new head of sales to drive the growth of the business. Because one thing where the business wasn't ready was it wasn't big enough for a potential sale or whatever we wanted to do with the business. Um,
So
so
back up real quick. What was this business, and what did you do for who and how?
Yeah, so Old World Spices, it's a premier blending seasoning company here in Kansas City. We manufactured products for large food service operators. We manufactured products for grocery stores. We manufactured products and sold barbecue products all across the United States, and that was one of the things that we implemented later to get the business ready to sell. Was really kind of what's our strategy. We were kind of a everything to everybody type of operation, and so we kind of really, as we looked at the business, hey, we need some strategy here. We kind of honed it down, and we kind of had our own superpower, and we were really good at it. And the really great thing was nobody else was really like looking at it, and really
So
concerned with.
if I was in the grocery store, what brand would I look for to see what's on the shelf?
Head Country Barbecue was yeah, one of the businesses that we bought after private equity bought us. That's probably our headline brand that we have now.
Okay. So you have it's interesting because there's different parts of this business. There's the manufacturing side, there's obviously the admin side. There's also like food innovation and food safety and all sorts of fun compliance that goes with that. So
Yes.
you come into a business that is doing all the things for everybody and you have to professionalize it. How did you know how to professionalize it as you walk through your strategy?
Well, we knew growth was going to have to be one thing. We couldn't save our way to, you know, having, more profitability. So it was growth. We needed some processes and policies in place. We needed to be sustainable. So we put new ERP in place and just hired some key personnel. So procurement was one area where it's like, hey, we think we can buy better and provide a better bottom line for the business at that point. And then just the financial acumen of like, hey, what does a good set of books look like? Hired a new accounting firm, did the things that as we looked at the business, like what makes this business more valuable to a buyer.
Yeah. So how did all that go relationally? You get tapped to be CEO. You have a father-in-law that is chairman or on the board, which might be CEO squared. And then there's other people that also have an interest. What was your experience managing all that?
Um, it was kind of trial by fire. It was just, I didn't get a lot of like call the hey, here's the agenda that we want you to present at the board meeting. It was just like, no, we're gonna have a board meeting. So it was like up to me to kind of build all that. And so I learned a lot. I mean, it was just like, hey, dig in and figure it out and have a board meeting, gain input and feedback. Hey, how'd that go? What do we think about this? And then we would adjust. And then the next time we would just kind of continue to do that and kind of refined it, honed it down. And then when we got into with private equity, it just kind of like relearning all that because it's a different methodology. There's a different playbook. They focus on a lot of different things. We thought we had a lot of metrics. We had good dashboards, and they came in and just like put it on super super intense mode, and so we ended up doing a lot more. So learned a lot through that.
Did you deal with the family dynamics?
Um, it was stressful at times, stressful all the time, really. It was hard at family gatherings to not talk about business, um, but everybody kind of respected it and respected the boundaries of, of of being in the family business. It was honestly, it was a great from a culture standpoint. It was one of the hard things that I tried really hard to as I took over the CEO role was like, how do we incorporate this family culture, but also we're bringing in these outside managers that aren't family members, but we expect them to be embraced by the family. So spend a lot of time, working through cultural integration of the family, but professionalizing the organization as well.
So how long was it from tapped on the shoulder, sat in the seat to ready to go to market?
5 years. It was almost to the day that I took over CEO role, that we actually sold the business.
How was that experience?
That was the reason why I probably have no hair, but it was tough. It was really tough, and I learned that you lean on a lot of people along the way. I think one of the biggest takeaways that I had was like actually father-in-law was notorious for moving the goalposts. Like, hey, here's the objective. Um, but then the goalpost would get, hey, we hit the objective. Like, yeah, but we need this. And so we sat down as a family and said, hey, what is what does it look like for you when you sell this business, both from a financial standpoint, from a structure standpoint? What do you want, the entire family to look like after that? And what are you going to be doing once you exit? Because it was kind of like, hey, yeah, we can get a transaction done, but we really need to attack the emotional aspect of the transaction, and so it was, again, just learned a ton, had some really great advisors. I was part of Acumen at the time, and so had a great counsel along the way.
So whenever you're selling the company, there's a deal team and advisors that come around you. Plus, private equity does this all day, every day.
Mhm.
And so once you were strategically, philosophically aligned, emotionally aligned, from a family and business perspective, how did you guys go out to market? And then what was your experience dipping or jumping in with the private equity world and going through the show?
Yeah, so the process was grueling. We did the typical playbook. It's a teaser, a sim. You get some additional, some indications of interest. You bring them in, you do management meetings. We had management meetings for 3 weeks straight, every day. And it was all day, and it was usually dinner or breakfast that day. And so it was grueling, and you're just trying to find the right fit. And I think so the experience was we didn't find the right fit on the first one, so we you know signed an LOI, got into due diligence, and discovered, like, this isn't going to work. This is not the right partner for us. Didn't tick, thought we ticked all the boxes because we had our list of things that we wanted to see from an outcome, and it just didn't fit. So we tried round two, and round two was a little bit more of a fit, and we eventually, it's M&A's fickle. It's can either be on or can be off within minutes of each other. And there was nights that I would be on the phone for till 9, 10 o'clock at night, going back and forth between advisors and PE group and the family of, like, hey, is this right? This has happened, and we also did it in the middle of COVID, so there was all the ups and downs of business that we were going through as well.
Being in the grocery industry during COVID was probably not a bad time to look at valuation.
It was a great time, which created some of the angst. It was like, hey, we're not selling this for enough money because our business has just tripled overnight. Now, a part
Yep.
of our business dropped to zero, but
Yep.
again, that was a bigger part
Yep.
of our business. So that created angst amongst the family. They're like, we should be selling this for more. And private equity guys are like, no, we've negotiated this price and it's good, and you're still winning. And so, yeah, it was tough.
So the joke is always, if the deal doesn't die twice before you get to the table, you actually never close it. So I'm not sure I know the answer to this. Did the deal die?
Yeah, I could probably think of two times that it died. And it was, there was a day I was working from home during COVID, and essentially walked out, got off the phone with my father-in-law and one of our other board members, and was just like, this is done. We're not doing it. And there was, in the back of my mind, there was a gentleman that I was like, I need to talk to this guy because I know my father-in-law um, listens to him and would just, I think somebody just needs a unbiased third party, just needs to, like, have a conversation, just kind of flesh out the true intent in what was going through my father-in-law's mind at the time. And I came upstairs, and my wife said, hey, we're going to go out to dinner with some friends. I'm like, sure, I got to get out of this house and clear my mind. And on the way to dinner, I told my wife, I'm like, hey, I'm going to reach out to this person and see if you can talk to my father-in-law. We got to dinner, and this guy was sitting across at another table at the restaurant. And I'm
Funny,
like,
funny how that works, huh?
yes, yes. So I stepped over for a quick, conversation. Like, hey, can I give you a call on Monday? Just want to kind of love for you to talk to the father-in-law and just kind of see what's in his head at this time. He's like, yeah, sure, let's talk on Monday. So,
That's I love those stories. That right place, right time, right person. Okay, so you finalized the transaction. What was the transition, and now you're kind of doing what's next. So what was the post version of that?
yeah, so it comes fast and furious. You close and your the strategy changes, and you are grinding away. You're doing everything differently, um, and we were somewhat lucky, somewhat good along the way. We acquired a business within 6 months because that was part of the strategy. The business was growing organically, and so everything was chugging along. And the honeymoon was over about a year after that. New CEO comes in, and so had to uh, put my head around, not being the CEO anymore. But that that was eye opening, for sure, to all of a sudden not be the person in the seat.
Hard. It is hard. Yeah, it's a strange humility. And there's a platform that you have that is taken away. How did you deal with that? Seems to be the question of the day.
Um, in some instances, well, in other instances, not well. Uh, I look back at it and uh, I don't know if I was well equipped at that time or not. Thought I was, but as I reflect back on it, there's probably some things I would have done differently, probably before the sale. And so lesson learned on that. I was told by multiple people along the way, multiple counsels of like, hey, what if? And what if this, and what if, like, oh, that's not going to happen, or this thing's, it's going to just continue to go up. And it was going up, and that's what the hard part was. It's like, hey, this business was thriving. Like, we were actually close to, like, probably turning this thing and flipping it probably within 12 to 18 months. And so it was, I kind of, look back on them like you know um, some humility and some a little bit of a gut punch at the same time.
Yeah, right on. I, I feel you. I had a similar stuff. Okay, so if you had to give advice, either on the family front, on the PE front, having gone through what you did, what what would you give?
I would, a couple things from a family standpoint, family involved. Just get it all written down. Just like, hey, what's the best outcome for everybody? What does everybody want? And can you get all those things, checked off the box? And that was a big thing for us to be able to, like, hone in with the family members. And like, okay, got four people in the room. What do you four people want? And you make your list, where they overlap, where they, branching out. And like, okay, if we can't get this, is this uh, a non-negotiable, point? Um, so that's the one thing from a family standpoint. Having good advisors that people trust and listen to was a big thing. It's like being able to, like, talk to, whether it was our legal group or finance group, of like, hey, can we learn a little bit more here? What's this mean? Because there's just tons of jargon and a bunch of other legal stuff and aspects of getting deals done that you only probably sell a business once, and so you don't know it from backwards and forwards. So, and then from the PE front is I would press anybody to say, what if? Like, yeah, you probably don't think it's going to happen, but what if this does happen? And what would you do? How would you think about that? And like really dig into what's the worst thing that could happen. And then, hey, what protections can we put in place to keep that from either happening, or you're going to be okay on the other end if that does happen.
I think that mental model everybody calls is inverted, right? We all see the forward path, which is like what happens when it goes well. You got to invert it because that helps you put the strategy together. If it goes well, it's fine, and if not, then you do have a plan for sure. Okay, so we're a plain glass before stained glass organization, and all that means is we like to talk business up in the front, but in our heart is there's this faith aspect to it. So we're trying to be the same person everywhere we go, and so it's all one place. So where are you integrating faith, or how does it manifest in your outside persona?
um, we're doing this all for God. He's pointing us in the right direction. We're doing this for Him, and so I always put it in that perspective. Like just this morning, my wife said, "Well, be if it's going to be," and I'm like, "Yeah, but sometimes it needs a little kick in the ass." So it's like sometimes it needs just a little push, and that's um, it's just a lot of pray on things. Is this the right thing? Tell me if it's not, and and keep me on track if it is.
Funny, I think your story says it best is I know I needed to do something and I felt like it, and yet I showed up to a restaurant and that person was there. Those are the kinds of things that when you're both working together, things happen.
Hundred
Um,
percent,
and
hundred
it
percent.
doesn't always have a giant transaction at the end of it, right? It's not always prosperity. Sometimes it's meeting you in the mud. But that's a great example, man. That's a great example. Okay, where can our listeners find out more about you?
LinkedIn, Russ Meinhardt, and you can see my bio on acumenimpact.com.
So, what's great is if you're interested in becoming a member and hanging out with Russ, go to acumenimpact.com. You can click on the apply button. And if you just like to learn more, there's a ton of great content under the resources tab. Russ, thanks for coming on, man. It's good to be with you.
Yeah, it's good to be with you, man.
All right, peace.
Peace.